Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank our witnesses, General Milley in particular, for your service, and General Austin as well. Mr. Secretary, I appreciate you highlighting the suicide issue in your opening statement. As you know, that's hitting the forces in Alaska particularly hard. Still having a hard time getting our arms around that. It's still happening, so working together on that one is a high priority of mine, and I appreciate you putting a lot of attention to that. I first want to begin by quickly covering an oversight issue deeply concerning to members of this committee, which was an abuse of the President's Commander-in-Chief authority when he gave a campaign speech last fall with active duty Marines as political props. This wasn't a speech about Veterans Day or Memorial Day or a speech about the heroic actions of the Marines at Iwo Jima or the Chosin Reservoir. It was the most partisan political speech of the President's 2 years in office, where he disparaged tens of millions of Americans that he claimed threatened the Republic, did not respect the Constitution, on and on and on. Really harsh partisan campaign speech. And they're flanking the President of the United States were 2 active duty Marines. Shameful, outrageous, infuriating. I've raised this issue with both of you and other military leaders on how inappropriate this image was to our republic. General Milley, you've talked about how the military needs to stay out of politics. I am assuming good faith on both of your parts that you didn't know this. But what I want is a commitment from both of you the next time some White House staffer thinks it's a good idea to politicize the military with a political speech like this with 2 active duty Marines or anyone else standing by the President, that both of you will put your foot down and not only say no, but say hell no. Can I get your commitment on doing that to this committee?
Senator, I think you know that I'm opposed to any type of politicization of the military.
Yep.
And I will not comment on my president's actions.
You think that was appropriate, Mr. Secretary?
Again, Senator, I don't.
You think that was, in your personal opinion, General Milley? You've been speaking about this. Look, I thought both of you guys are going to go no and no. I got a bunch more questions. But if we're debating this, let's have the debate. You think that was appropriate, General Milley? You've spoken about not politicizing the military. That's just outrageous. And by the way, Democrats and Republicans agree with me. So this isn't even that controversial. The President made a mistake, politicized. Go read the speech. What do you think, General Milley?
I'm firmly committed to a nonpartisan, non-political military.
Okay, so if the White House has an idea to do something like that again, will both of you commit to this committee to tell whoever the staffer is, hey, don't do that. Bad idea. Marines shouldn't be used as political props.
I'll just speak for myself. I've been asked in the past in 2 different administrations on things just like that, and I've always said keep the military out of politics.
I'm surprised we're having a debate on this. Unfortunately, I'm burning a lot of time. It's an important issue, though. I think we all would agree. I'm going to next turn to Senator Wicker's point on the budget. Budgets are a reflection of an administration's priorities. This administration has now 3 different times in a row submitted inflation-adjusted cuts to the Department of Defense, while many other federal agencies have gotten double-digit increases. This was the 2022 budget. You see the DOD was second last, with a 3% cut. The 2023 budget, same kind of issue. We're down there last. That was actually a 4% cut. In this budget, once again, one of the down here with 3% cut, while other agencies, EPA, almost 20%. Both of you have said this is the most dangerous time since World War II. This current budget shrinks the Army, shrinks the Navy, shrinks the Marine Corps. Doesn't that embolden our allies like Xi Jinping and Putin, not deter them? And General Milley, in your personal opinion, do you support a budget that actually shrinks 3 of the 4 services, particularly the Navy? The Congress here has been very clear that we want to grow the Navy. The Chinese are looking at our naval fleet, and we're shrinking it. That's the budget. The president probably assumes correctly that this committee will bump it up significantly. But do both of you support a budget that shrinks 3 of the 4 services? And what would you say to the issue of emboldening our allies when they see budgets like this that we, 3 years in a row, have to rectify by adding significant funding to them? I'll ask both of you, gentlemen.
Well, Senator, first of all, let me thank you for your continued support for DOD. We really appreciate what you and your colleagues have done over the years. I think you heard me say earlier that we went through great pains to link our budget requests to our strategy. We're going after the capabilities that we think we need to be successful in any endeavor. And so I am satisfied that this budget gives us what we need. It's an $842 billion budget. And again, I think it allows us to go after the right capabilities.
General.
And Senator, as I said in my opening statement, I think the uniformed military can defend this country with an $842 billion budget. That is a lot of money, and I think if we put it in the right place against the right priorities, we'll be able to adequately defend this country.
In your personal opinion, do you agree with shrinking the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps?
The size of the forces, I'll go one by one here. When I was Chief of Staff of the Army, I had advocated for about a 520, 550 size ground force.
This budget takes it to 450.
Right, and so I advocated for that because my analysis of future combat indicated that. This strategy, though, this is a strategy-informed budget. This strategy, and starting under General Mattis or Secretary Mattis and now Secretary Austin, this strategy takes us to essentially a one-war strategy. A one-war strategy with the main effort being China. So the question is, what forces are going to be required to confront or potentially fight China? I think the Army and Marines definitely have a role to play.
So does the Navy.
But the weight of the effort is going to be the Navy
and we're shrinking
the Air Force, the Navy and the Air Force.
Budget shrinks the Navy.
It does by a couple of ships for a temporary period of time. I talked to CNO last night at length about this to make sure that I was clear on the Navy piece of this. The ships that are being decommissioned and divested of are having significant maintenance problems. In fact, the ships for the amphibs, they've been in the yard for years. They're costing way more money just at repair than they're worthwhile. So they're trying to shift to the next generation of amphib. You'll see the curve, I think, when they submit their shipbuilding plan, you'll see the curve going up in the not-too-distant future. So there is a temporary downward spiral of a couple of ships in the overall shipbuilding program, but this budget buys 9. You're down 2. The net effect is you're down 2 ships out of a 296 ship Navy, and then it goes down to 293, and then it starts coming back up. Now, is that huge? I think the capability of those ships matters, as we all know. The capability of our ships are different than the capability of the Chinese ships. I know that the Chinese have a lot of ships. However, we not only have the United States Navy, we have the United States Navy working with the Japanese Navy, working with the Australian Navy, working with the British Navy, working with the French Navy. If you start adding up these navies, China is not only outnumbered, but they're outgunned, and in terms of capabilities. If you look at just what I think is the most lethal capability in the United States Navy today is the submarine. And our subs, the Chinese Navy or the Russian Navy, are not even in the same ballpark as our submarine force. Our submarine force can bring people to their knees just by themselves. So our Navy, in this budget, we never have enough things that we always want something else. But this budget adequately protects the American people. I can't compare it against the rest of the president's priorities, but this $842 billion budget buys a lot of kit, a lot of training, and we are focused on 2 things, lethality and readiness. Lethality and readiness. That's all we do every day. 24,000 live fires last year. 24,000 of those. You talked about a continuing, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, Senator.
Well, no. I thought it was a good answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Secretary, General. Appreciate your service again. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sullivan.